What would it take for a financial investment in PanSurvival to generate enough money to profit stakeholders and allow it to sustain future operations without requiring additional investment? Beginning with the projected startup cost, PanSurvival will need an investment of $800,000. The investor providing the venture capital would receive a return on investment by having a 40% stake in the company's projected profit of $2.4 million. PanSurvival reaching revenue goals would ensure that revenue breaks even with startup cost. The stakeholder with 40% equity would receive a minimum of $960,000 in dividend payments, and PanSurvival could sustain current and future operations without investors. In other words, the 40% equity stakeholder could get their $800,000 returned to them if they would like to divest. In order to get PanSurvival to market as quickly as possible, $590,000 in startup expenses will be spent on project kickoff, product launch, and incentivizing team performance to meet revenue goals within 2 years of starting. When the product is launched, PanSurvival will be available on 3 mobile app stores: Apple, Android, and Windows. Also, customers from partnering recreational outfitters will begin to see PanSurvival in shared collateral, such as point-of-sale placards, catalogs, and websites. Once PanSurvival is open for business, new customers will be able to place in-application purchase orders for decals through mobile app stores without any further involvement of the PanSurvival team. Moreover, since the solution is hosted with a cloud vendor, operational costs will elastically match the gradual or rapid changes in customer ordering. In other words, the product will be self-sustaining after it's launched. After product launch, the PanSurvival mobile app will be capable of placing decal orders through its mobile application and generating revenue. Additionally, the PanSurvival Outreach Director will pursue revenue in the form of grant-funded development to make digitally prepared PanSurvival forms and open data interfaces more accessible to public safety. Once a significant number of customers have proven that the product works, the PanSurvival Marketing Director can package the PanSurvival solution as a branded implementation for sale. This sales effort will be assisted by PanSurvival's underlying operational data that quantifies 2 things: the sales funnel of customer orders for PanSurvival decals after they download the application, and the cost of hosting a customer's trip on the PanSurvival portal. When PanSurvival is funded, a team of 4 experienced people and qualified vendors will launch, operate, and maintain PanSurvival until it can sustain operations without needing additional investment. Team members and qualified vendors will collectively need $100,000 to kick off the project, $410,000 to launch the product, and incentives for meeting all revenue goals within 2 years of starting up. The way this breaks down is that the project kickoff will require $80,000 to retain team members that will develop the product and $20,000 to qualify contracted vendors. The product launch will require $80,000 to incentivize quickly launching the product within a year of the project kicked off, $280,000 for vendors to develop, and $50,000 in prepaid operational expenses for cloud hosting. The incentives for quickly meeting all revenue goals would come from PanSurvival revenue, and after the equity holders received 120% return on investment and received their original investment back in exchange for their equity. Bottom line, PanSurvival will use $510,000 of the $800,000 to launch the product, and the incentives for reaching revenue goals within a year of launch would come from the self-sustaining PanSurvival after it had returned 120% profit to stakeholders within 2 years of starting up. The key metrics that will indicate the PanSurvival application's progress in reaching target markets are the number of devices that have downloaded the free PanSurvival mobile app, the number of PanSurvival prepared trip plans, and the number of orders placed for PanSurvival decals. As initial PanSurvival customers are acquired through strategic recreational outfitter partnerships, these metrics will gradually increase. However, once the product proves itself on planned trips, these customer metrics could potentially multiply by the number of peers and emergency contacts that accessed the prepared trip plans on the PanSurvival portal. With those metrics, it would be useful to monitor the status or outcomes of those planned trips, as they may indicate the likelihood of peers and emergency contacts becoming customers. Bottom line, there is a risk that a dramatic increase of activity on monitored trip portals by a large network of people assisting a PanSurvival customer could temporarily increase operational cost. However, this risk could ultimately pay off by increasing the number of people that become aware of PanSurvival and become new customers. Finally, let's take a closer look at the 3 revenue goals that would generate a 120% return for the PanSurvival investors. In addition to the application taking 135,000 decal orders through mobile store in-application purchases, the Director of Public Outreach will seek $2.7 million in grant funding to expand PanSurvival digital interface capabilities to serve tailored public safety needs. And meanwhile, the Marketing Director will be packaging the success of the proven PanSurvival business model as a branded implementation for larger organizations to purchase at a cost plus $800,000. Meeting all 3 of these goals, or having one goal significantly exceed expectations, such as receiving orders for 3 times as many PanSurvival stickers, would enable PanSurvival to sustain current and future operations without investors. Accordingly, investors would realize a 120% return on investment and receive their original investment back in exchange for their equity.